Welcome, everyone. Last week, we had a very interesting guest in Tom Duby from Let's Online, and he shared with us his business journey, and it was quite the journey, and it was truly inspirational. And I especially enjoyed his comment about being differently abled. Now, today's agenda is Lalani is going to talk to you about we exist because you deserve the best. And then we'll open up to questions and answers, and we'll share some takeaways from today's chat, and then we'll wrap up. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand over to Lalani and let her tell you all about we exist because you deserve the best.
Hi, good morning, everybody. The thing is, maybe Peet can help me here. I found this somewhere while I was talking to you in the big World Wide Web, and it says, I think it's, let's do the test. We exist because you are the best. And it doesn't rhyme, or it does rhyme. So what does that mean?
So being a designer, the one thing I've noticed is there's so many companies who, it's either because of time constraints or budget, but there's so much that they can do where their brand can push. But I always get this rhetoric that we're a startup, so there's not really money for that. And I agree to a degree. At the beginning of your business journey, the idea is just to have something out there. But then somewhere along the lines, people tend to lose their passion for it. And I think to a large degree, that has to do with, if you start in the beginning and you put in the right planning and show the right love towards what you do in your business, then I think in the long run, it saves you and it reminds you why you're doing this and what the point of it is. I think initially with the you deserve the best part is I was getting frustrated with, there's a lot of startups who, let's be honest, at the moment, we're all competing on the digital platform to get our names out there. So there's a lot of startups that I see who charge way below industry standards. And then unfortunately, they offer those kind of service to clients as well. And the brands just kind of take a knock. So I purposely set up myself in such a way that I'm able to help all brands, from the smallest brand to the biggest brand. And that's kind of where that whole thinking came in.
It was such a catchy thing. So ladies and gentlemen, now you've seen, this is Peet van Niekerk, and his company is called Designer Needed.
Yes.
And we've met Peet on the Cape Chamber webinar once,
Yes.
and we were in the same chat room, and we just started to sort of chat, and I told him about the coffee chat, and he started sort of attending. And well, today he's going to tell us about his part and how he sort of came about. Please just fill us in. How did you get the idea of Designer Needed?
So, so at my core, I am really a designer. I mean, I've always been a designer in school. I was always told, hey, you need to go into design one day. And I think only at a later stage, you kind of realize that you need to meld the two. You can't just be a designer. You need to be a business person as well, and a designer. It reminds me of that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where he uses an example. He says, I think she's an amazing writer or something. And he says to her, yes, but you have to become an amazing salesman as well. And so the idea with Designer Needed was that as I started developing and I started growing and I started getting into my field, I realized that I need to kind of expand past the point of just being a designer, just saying, hey, here you go, this is what I do. And I need to kind of envelop myself into what it is that a business person needs, that a small business owner needs. And from there, I kind of took the idea of design and I turned it into a product where I would say, cool, come to me and I will offer everything for you at one price. That would include the marketing, the photography, if you want some video, social media. So that's kind of the idea. Because the realization came to me that I couldn't compete with people online who are coming in below the standard. So how can I take design and make it my own product? So that's how Design I Needed was really born.
You started in 2013 with the idea. 2015, I think you started up, but
Yes.
you also collaborate with other
Yes,
people.
I do.
How does that collaboration work or fit into your business, Design and Need?
So the idea with the collaboration is I need to, I don't think that as a business you can limit yourself to one thing. I think if anything, you need to see, how else you can grow. And I mean, once you take on new roles and new challenges, it forces you to grow and step out of your comfort zone. So in terms of collaboration, I'm partnered with a bigger company called NB Consult, and that's kind of where one of the biggest collaborations started. And they do anything from cloud-based internet solutions, cloud-based solutions, everything's in the cloud these days. And they partnered with another internet company called Lava Lamp, and they're also partnered with an ISP, broadband. So with that, it teaches me a lot about, okay, well, these are the needs in this kind of industry, and those are the needs over there. So it forces me to adapt and kind of get into the shoes of various businesses and see what I can bring to the table to help them expand on their vision further. So, yeah.
It's really interesting to see the types of collaboration that you form. If we look at your clients, you've got a really diverse portfolio, a group of customers. How do you handle from working with, in my mind, a big company like Kalula, and then a small company like what is it? What is the small company that you mentioned? Prime Results? Yeah.
So, gosh, at the end of the day, it all comes down to your needs. Someone like Kalula, they have a lot more needs because there's a constant need for, we need to work on email marketing that needs to go out all the time, remind clients of special that's happening. We need to work on the branding that goes with that inside the airport. Then with that, we need to work on what's it going to look like on social media. Are we going to, so it's a whole different package of needs where someone like Prime Results, they just started and they just want a presence. They just want people to see them, know who they are, what they do. And I think, again, the most important part is it comes down to what you look like. And I say that because if you think about getting up in the morning, I mean, the first thing you would probably do is possibly get a shower, maybe put on some deodorant and then go to work. No one just gets up and go to work. No one does that, I think. And for me, that's how I approach design as well. If someone lands on your business and they see your brand, they're going to get a reaction. It's either going to resonate with them, whether it is that someone told them, whether it is that they found you just stumbling upon you, but it's going to resonate. You want that idea that sticks with them about you to want them to come back to you. So that's really what it boils down to. So with someone like a smaller company like Prime Results, the idea is to create a look and feel and a consistent look and feel that the client can actually just run with, and there you go. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but yes, it comes down to needs, I guess.
It's just, but it also sort of adds on to the next question, where if you go to your website, you've developed, according to me, you've developed quite a unique way of doing your pricing and presenting your packages. Mm-hmm. How did you get to that, and what does it actually mean for you and for small businesses and big businesses?
So, sure. So as mentioned, I needed to come up with a way where I can turn design into a product. Now with the lockdown situation, there's been a sudden upswing in design businesses that kind of came out of the woodworks. And I say that because the problem with design is it's not a tangible thing. No one really understands, the ins and outs of what it takes to get there. They just see the final results. So with my product packages, I had to kind of find a way to see, okay, cool. So let's be realistic. How long does it really take to design a business card or design that or to change something on a business card? And if something is a simple font with maybe the logo thrown in, that can take me 10 minutes. So based on those kind of little nuances, I put them all together and I figured out, well, listen, for a monthly price, look at everything I can do, as opposed to, you know, having someone come aboard. And I've seen this, I see it all the time, where someone charges an hour and they only really do 10 minutes of work. So I needed to find a way where I'm like, no, well, listen, I can do much more than that for that time. And I think that's also where the idea comes in, that design is such an expensive thing, but it's not. And I mean, there's actually times when someone wants me to do something for them and it takes 10 minutes, but I just say, well, I'm not even going to charge you. It's 10 minutes of my time. You know, I'd rather build on those relationships, and then later down the line, they maybe refer someone big my way. So that's rather how I approach these things. And that kind of pushed me in the direction of coming up with the price and the packages and a monthly fee. Because with that, at least you know what you're getting and what I'm doing for you. But we can elaborate on that a little more later. So,
Okay. So just out of curiosity, now that we're in this lockdown for the past 90 days, have you actually seen a change in the needs of your large customers and your smaller medium customers?
So the one thing that I actually saw stood out and which I thought was quite important is, I think I try to kind of run with the idea that we shouldn't focus too much on lockdown now. Because the challenge is, or the problem was, a lot of companies were running with, hey, it's lockdown, hey, it's lockdown. Which means once we finally move out of, you know, the lockdown situation and things kind of get back to what we'll call the new normal, I guess, then people will actually remember you. So right now, if you just talk about COVID and you just talk about lockdown, you're kind of in a sea where everybody's talking about that. So you're kind of going to get washed away with the rest. So my best advice I gave to clients, and it's based on you know, some of the insights from other designers, is stick with humor. Use humor. Use something that someone can remember you for that stands out. And right now, humor is the only thing that will really stand out, considering that everybody's, you know, in a bit of a panic and a bit of an unsureness. So don't focus on that. Focus on the humor side of things. Focus on you know, the value that you can bring, and focus on the community, how we're all in this together and how we can help each other get to that next step. So I have, funny enough, found more new clients than actually previous clients that came back to me. So I found that quite fascinating.
It is. I think there's a need for people to sort of stand out and maybe just sort of reflect on what we really need at this stage.
Yes.
What are the obstacles that you are still working through in your business?
I think for most companies, it's probably more, you know, budget. I mean, I would love to spend much more on marketing to get my name out there, but you can only set so much aside for it. But the one truth that rings true is, unfortunately, marketing is a constant. You need to stay on top of people's minds so they can remember you, so they can come back to you. And I think that is definitely one of the challenges for me. It's just kind of staying top of mind, but not being overbearing in it, if I can say that. So that's probably one of the main obstacles.
And for your clients, what?
For clients, I mean, most things is about getting more leads. You know, turning things into business. That's the biggest thing, is helping clients get more leads and getting real clients and people who really actually want to work with them. That's the biggest challenge.
Then it's always you market other people and you help other people to promote their businesses.
Yes.
So how do you do your own business, your own marketing?
So I have to make a point of splitting that, where I literally, So if I say splitting, I think, let me just kind of rephrase that. If I come to you and I say, if you come to me, you say, listen, Piet, we need to grow my business. I'm not making an income, help me. Before I come with any solutions, I obviously need to have some sort of track record that can prove or that can work, if anything. So what I do is I usually go and I try something out for designer need first, whether it is, you know, Google AdWords, whether it is Facebook advertising, and I literally put it through the paces. I kind of run with the, okay, let's see what a YouTube channel would be like. Would that actually work for someone? So everywhere where there's a possibility, I kind of put my foot in and see what works best. And once I've delved into those areas, I have the knowledge. So someone comes to me and say, listen, this is the problem, this is what they're struggling with. I'm kind of trained to an extent to be able to say, okay, cool, let's look at this. This might work. This is probably the best way forward. So I think, yeah, to answer your question, it comes down to just making sure I can do it before I offer it. And with the marketing side of things, it comes down to making sure I've done it for, so it can work for you. That's really what it boils down to. So, yeah.
And the value of groups like the coffee chat, like the chamber, would you say that that is really something that people should do, or is it just now that we, in this situation where we're staying home, that we sort of looking for company?
I think it's priceless, actually, if I'll be honest with you, to be part of these kind of groups, because the reality is, as a business, you have to build trust. And I think we can all attest that word of mouth is so strong, because, you know, you can trust someone already to give you someone else who is trusted. So that's why that is such a strong medium. And with these kind of groups, it allows people to see you, to hear you, to get to know you, to understand you, and kind of put an idea behind who it is. And that has a huge impact. You cannot put a price on that, really. So yeah, these groups are very, very important now. And what I actually recommend to my clients, and this is a pro tip, I hope you guys use it, because so many people are not using it, but go to on Facebook and Google networking groups. Go on Meetup and Google networking groups, and most of them are free. No one charges you anything. And just by sitting there, getting to know people. I mean, I've made clients in Charlotte, which is in the US, just by, you know, joining a group like this. So I think that's one of those little valuable things that people don't realize you can use to your advantage, but you should. You definitely should.
Oh, thank you very much for that. Then the last question that I've got for you is that how should a small business go about choosing the best digital marketing agency? Now, you wrote a really nice, I don't know if you wrote it, but on your website, there's a really nice article about how you should go about. And I really suggest that small businesses should read that. But will you please tell us, what should we do?
So I think the first thing is, let's say, you know, from a digital platform, okay? So you're online, toying with the idea of looking for a designer, and maybe you see an ad on Facebook. The first thing you have to do is make sure they have a portfolio. It's very important to, to make sure that they can actually, what they're offering, they can give you examples of, you know, what they said they're going to do for you, they can actually do. The first thing is to make sure they have a portfolio. The second thing would be, look at their reviews. How recent are their reviews? What are people saying about them? Do they have reviews just on maybe Google? Do they have reviews on Facebook? Those things have a huge impact. And I mean, if someone has a review from 4 years ago, so then I would say, then look at the actual business's marketing. What does their marketing? I mean, if someone says to you they're going to make an amazing website for you, but their website looks terrible, then that should already be a red flag. And let's see what else. Then I would say also try to use one company for everything. So if you want to, let's say you want to redo your website, see if they can help you with the SEO, and see if they're willing to help you with Google Ads, and possibly you mean your social media, if that is part of their deal. But yeah, try find a company that does all those things for you. And if anything, if you really feel, okay, cool, this is it, and you are going to spend quite a bit of money, have a hangout meeting with them or a Zoom chat. Just kind of ask them, make sure this is the right fit for you. Because I have this thing when I work with my clients, I always ask them first about their business. And how can I put this? I don't want to take someone on if I actually can't meet their expectations. So I think that is very important, not only from a business side, but from a client side as well.
And in these days, what do you think for small business is the most important tool to get themselves out there?
I would definitely say, I think you know the answer already, but I would probably say Facebook, simply because you can start off with no finances thrown towards it, and you can literally start from scratch. You'll see on my blog, I've actually made a post right when lockdown started where I give, I think 10 free social media tools that you can it's free. Like you can literally teach yourself how to do your own social media from scratch. So I would say that is definitely one of the best tools. I would say LinkedIn as well. Yeah, my only approach would be once you are on Facebook and LinkedIn. So for Facebook, what I suggest to clients is, let's say you have your presence, Facebook page, then I would say join all these groups. There are so many groups on Facebook, Cape Town Entrepreneur, and I mean, there's Plattekloof Entrepreneur even as well. There's so many groups. I would say join these groups once you have your Facebook page, and then make a post and share them on these various groups. That would be a good tip.
Well, sorry, that's somebody at my front door.
It's okay. It's okay.
That's really, very nice. Is there anybody from the rest of the group that's got a question for Peet? Any questions?
Yeah, Peet, I've got a question. I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
You mentioned joining all these online networking groups. Is there a particular theme that you look for on Facebook or LinkedIn or Google Hangouts or wherever? Because I've looked, and believe me, there are thousands of different groups, and some of them are 2 or 3 members. Some have thousands. How do you actually sift through that?
You have to ask yourself, where would you probably make the most impact? And I mean, as terrible as this sounds, where it's 2 to 3 people, I don't think you really are. So ideally, try and get in a group where, your voice will be heard, but others will also hear their voice to you. So I would say anywhere from a group about 6, 7 upwards. At the end of the day, I don't think you have to, it's going to sound, I don't know how this is going to sound, but I don't think you should approach it as finding business. More approach it as, what value can you add? Whether it is just giving some advice, whether it is, just maybe listening or being a participant, all those little things matter at the end of the day. I mean, we all know this, but it all boils down to, relationships and how we can actually help each other get to the next stepping stone of our business or our life. So I would say, if you really want to, 6 upwards, maybe the really small groups, 2 to 3, you might not, but you never know. You might meet someone there, and in the long run will pay off. As a business though, you need to think of your time. I mean, your time is your most valued asset. Even the richest man in the world can't buy his time back. So keep that in mind if you go into smaller groups.
I would just like to sort of say something. I belong to all of these groups for social media entrepreneurs, and even for my study. And one thing that you need to keep in mind is that some of them are really run very, very tight, where you post something today, and the other day women entrepreneurs came and they said that they've got about 300 posts waiting to be okay. So if you're in a really big group, then you get lost. You just I think maybe just delving down and getting into more specific groups, because Caroline asked, but Caroline, I will give you the names of the groups that Piet has mentioned. Courtney would like to know, what is the one mistake that new clients do that you wish they wouldn't do?
I suppose, yes. I think it's, as a new client, I would suggest do research when finding a designer. You know, we tend to go, when we're in a rush, I mean, when I started designer, you know, there was some point where I've encountered clients who basically started a business out of necessity. They didn't have a choice. They had to make a business. And, you know, when you're in a panic to get your name out there, sometimes you kind of go with what works now. And so I'd say the biggest mistake they make is they don't do enough research. Because sadly, and you'll see with my logo on my website, there's a red ER in it, design error needed. And the reason for that is I come across clients who spend thousands on like a website, and then it still doesn't actually reflect their brand. Like I can see that someone used the template, they pasted the logo in the corner and they pasted the text, but it says nothing about this beautiful brand of theirs. And that breaks my heart. So then I have to come in and I have to help them, save them, get their business to a point where they can actually market it and get leads from it. But my best advice would be, do your research. If you want to go get designs, get a logo, make sure you find someone you can trust, make sure they have a track record, and that would be my best advice, not doing enough research.
Have we got any other questions for Pierre? Thank you very much then. It's really nice to hear from your point of view, somebody that works with small businesses, but also a business owner, of how you see things. And for me, how do you actually, I thought, how do you stay on top of it? If you market it, but you're still going to market yourself as well. That was my question that I would like to have answered. So I'm going to give you back to Richard for the wrap up. And thank you so much, Piet.
Okay, thanks, Lolani, and thanks, Piet. I've been taking notes as you were talking there, and there were 4 main points that I picked out from your discussion. And the first one is, you know, you must have a passion for what you do, and I think that has come through quite strongly on everybody that we've spoken to. The next point I found was very interesting was, no matter how big or small your customer is, each is to be treated as an individual, but everybody has different needs. And I think we lose sight of that quite often. The third one was, you and your client need to fit. I mean, not everybody is your client. So you need to fit each other. So as much as your client looking to you, whether they want to do business with you, you should be looking to say, do I want to do business with this client?
Yeah.
And then the last point is, you must practice what you preach. I remember in my corporate career, we had a CEO who turned around and said, you need to eat your own dog food. And I think it sort of sums it all up.
Yeah.
Those are the 4 major points that I took out. So I think what I'm going to do is, after next week's session, I'm going to summarize all of the takeaways and publish an article and say, these are the themes that we picked out from every single person that we've spoken to. And there's commonality across quite a few, but there are some standout takeaways. So that's our chat for this week. So next week, we have someone who hails from part of the world that I grew up in, which is north of the border. And this person has really been through the mill to get her business where it is today. But more details in the invite to come. And I hope you all enjoy today's coffee chat, and I hope you enjoy your weekend. So until next week, goodbye.